everyone. My name is Hernandez, and I'm president of the Auburn Cayuga branch of the NAACP. We're excited to welcome you to the Central New York 2020 Virtual Freedom Fund Dinner, hosted by Auburn Cayuga branch of the NAACP, our Rome NAACP, and our Syracuse Onondaga NAACP. At this time, I would ask for all of you to make sure you take your swag bags and you set them up, share your pictures. You can share your pictures in the chat. We're very excited for our dinner this evening. We're waiting for all our dignitaries to log in so that we can get started. I hope you enjoyed some of the music that you had, and we're going to be with you momentarily.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Letitia Hernandez, and in this role, I am the Political Civic Engagement Chair of the Syracuse Onondaga NAACP. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated and our chapter president, Tony Turbin, I'm Joseph Patrick, thanking you for joining, for honoring us tonight.
Hello, everyone. This is Gary Finch and Marcia. We're enjoying probably our 21st dinner this evening and looking forward to it.
Good evening, everyone. This is Bishop Colette Matthews-Carter. I am the second vice president for the Syracuse Onondaga NAACP, and welcome to everyone, and congratulations to all of the recipients. Very well deserved.
Hey everyone, I'm Karin Franklin-King, and I have the honor of being a co-MC, so I'll be talking to you officially in just a moment.
And I'm David Paterson, and I'm going to tell you all about I get a chance to speak.
I'm Joe Bright and Danielle Latour here. Looking forward to tonight, representing them. Congrats to all the award winners.
Hello, everyone. Vice President of
There you are. Greetings. Welcome to the inaugural 2020 Central New York NAACP Virtual Freedom Fund Dinner. I am honored to be here this evening. However, it's a greater honor to introduce my partner, my co-MC, the Honorable David Paterson, former governor of New York and author. David Alexander Paterson became the 55th governor of the state of New York in March 2008. In his first address as governor, he spoke about the challenges facing New York and his plans to build a better and brighter future for all citizens. He was ahead of the national curve in predicting and acting on the state's fiscal downturn. David embodies a rare combination of skills, including a unique understanding of marketplace drivers and surrounding events. He earned his BA in history from Columbia University and his JD from Hofstra Law School. And prior to becoming New York State's 55th governor, David began his political career when he was elected to represent Harlem in 1985 at the tender age of 31, making him the third youngest state senator in New York's history. In 2002, he was elected as minority leader of the New York State Senate, becoming the first African-American and blind legislative leader in state's history. Among his many other accomplishments and distinctions, he was honored to address the 2004 Democratic National Convention. And he has just finished his new book entitled Black, Blind, and in Charge. Governor Paterson.
Thank you, Karen. It's an honor to be here this evening. I was the keynote speaker in 2018, and I'm so happy to be back right now. And I'm so happy to have Karen as my co-MC. Now, Karen is really a 21st century answer in our community to Paul Robeson. She is a singer, an actor, a scholar, an activist. She is a public volunteer. She is a television and radio broadcaster. She has organized in communities, and her two real principles, number one is not to forget where she came from, and the other is to try to assist others in whatever it is they're doing. In all of these ways, she totally exceeds me. There's only one way that I can be equal to her, which is that we both grew up in Brooklyn. So that's a tie. The rest goes to her. Karin, we're so glad that you could take time out to join us this evening. And let's go on with the show.
Thank you very much. Sounds like a mutual admiration society. I really am honored to be co-hosting with you. Thank you, David. At this time, I'd like to introduce Bishop Colette Matthews-Carter, who will present the invocation for this evening.
Let us pray. God of our weary years and God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on our way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in thy path, we pray. It is once again, O Lord, that we seek your divine presence and guidance as we go forth as agents of change. We lift up the collective work of the NAACP in these troubling times of turmoil and tribulation. And so not only do we ask for your blessing upon this affair this evening, but we ask that you embolden us to continue to defend justice and to defeat hate. Give us the heart and soul of the likes of Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Martin Luther King, John Lewis, and all of the champions of justice who have gone before us. Let us not become weary in well-doing, because in due season we shall reap a harvest if we faint not. And so we thank you now for your many blessings upon blessings. We ask this in the name of the one who is able to keep us from falling and to present us faultless before the throne with exceeding joy. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bishop. Now we're going to introduce Sean McLeod, who for the last 30 years has been an award-winning producer, a choreographer, a businessman, and someone who has shared everything that he's received with everyone else, and he will sing Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the day that hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat, had not a weary beat, come to the place on which our Father sighed. We have come over a way that with tears had been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we ever laugh, where the white gleam of our stars is cast. God of our weary God of our silence, yes. Thou who has brought us thus far on thy way, thou who hast by thy mind let us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Oh, these are feet straight from the places, our God, where we met thee. Least our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadows beneath thy hair, may we forever, ever stand true to our God, true to our native land. Oh, oh, oh.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. I want to thank you for having me participate tonight in your virtual Freedom Fund banquet. I also want to recognize my great friend, Linda Brown Robinson, the NAACP President of Syracuse and Onondaga County, and acknowledge the many contributions of her and her wonderful husband, Van. And what an honor to have former Governor David Paterson participate. I'd also like to add former Lieutenant Governor as well. Governor, right now I'm reading your autobiography, and I know Governor Paterson won't say this, but I will. Read this book, Blind, Black, and in Charge, all about perseverance, humor, and life. And it's also truly an honor to have Ms. Karin Franklin-King share some reflections as well. But back to tonight. From the city of Syracuse and throughout Central New York, this NAACP has tackled the challenges of today, and each of you are doing such necessary work advocating for the African American community. And this has been a year of tremendous stress and pressure on the Black community, grappling with the double trauma, with tragedy and loss from COVID disproportionately impacting people of color, as well as having to experience the searing images of an innocent man, George Floyd, having his very life crushed from him, and all the other stories of lives lost that came forth and triggered protests throughout America. It became a movement that touched a nerve in the majority of Americans. White people are finally waking up to the reality of living in two Americas, one Black and one white. The outrage we see in response to racism and discrimination is long overdue. Immediately following the death of George Floyd, Governor Cuomo laid out a series of reform policy items called Say Your Name Agenda, including the transparency of prior disciplinary records of law enforcement, banning chokeholds by law enforcement officers, prohibiting false race-based 9/11 reports and making them a crime, and designating the Attorney General as an independent prosecutor for matters relating to the deaths of unarmed citizens caused by law enforcement. The governor also signed an executive order, the New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative, requiring local police agencies to develop a plan that reinvents policing based on community input. These are important steps that state government can take, but it also has to begin with individuals. We need more empathy and compassion, and that starts with listening to and actually hearing one another. Just as we have for the past 145 years, we look to you for your leadership to ensure that we're moving in the right direction. You've had a crucial role in the civil rights movement, the long journey as we push the bend the arc of justice in a more just direction, just as Dr. King called us to do. We stand shoulder to shoulder in the cause of today, the fight for racial justice. My last message is this. In the name of all those lost in the quest for equality and freedom, I ask you to vote and get everyone you know to vote. As John Lewis said, the vote is the most powerful nonviolent tool we have. I thank you for allowing me to share some time with you this evening, and I look forward to seeing you in person very soon.
Hi, this is New York State Comptroller Tom DiNapoli, and I'm pleased to be able to take part in the Central New York NAACP Virtual Freedom Fund Dinner. Congratulations to the NAACP chapters in Syracuse, Onondaga County, Rome, and Auburn, Cayuga County for organizing this year's Freedom Fund Dinner. And congratulations to all of your deserving honorees and your keynote speakers. I'd like to salute Dr. Hazel Dukes for her outstanding leadership as New York State NAACP Conference President during these difficult times. Many thanks also to Governor David Paterson, Karin Franklin-King, and our regional NAACP presidents, Linda Brown Robinson, Jackie Nelson, and Eli Hernandez. Today, our country faces challenges on several fronts, and communities of color in particular are disproportionately affected by a range of social justice, economic, and political issues. This includes healthcare access, housing, educational opportunities, and more. The fact is, for all the progress we've made in communities across America, racial discrimination and injustice in education, employment, criminal justice, and everyday life are still a fact of life. While this is a difficult truth to face, today also represents a new chance for each of us to spark change. Right now is the time to act. That's because today is the first day of early voting in your region. Together we can forge a renewed path to the equality we all want. If you want to see change, make it start with you. Your vote is your voice. As is noted on the invitation to this event, we can't rest in pursuing justice and defeating hate. The NAACP has always been in the forefront of this struggle. As a life member myself and a member of the NAACP North Shore chapter on Long Island, I stand in solidarity with you.
Together with the Rome NAACP chapter and the Auburn Cayuga NAACP chapter for joining forces to host this great event. I just voted. Yay! I'm so excited. Yay! And of course, thank you to my sister, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, and of course to our great Comptroller Tom DiNapoli, and the Honorable Frank Scott, the Mayor of Little Rock, Arkansas, and of course to Mama Dukes, whose shoulders I stand on, the NAACP president. Of course, my very good friend Karen Boykin-Towns, Linda Brown Robinson, the Syracuse Onondaga NAACP, Jacqueline Nelson, the Rome NAACP president, and Eliezer Hernandez, Auburn Cayuga NAACP president. I'd like to take a moment to recognize Linda Brown Robinson, who at the end of the year will be stepping down from the role of president. And she is someone I've had the great pleasure of witnessing her dedication and has dedicated so much of her time, her passion and energy to the missions and the goals of the NAACP. I know I speak for everyone when I say that we are grateful for her contributions and her dedication and her sacrifice. May God continue to bless you. And Linda, I wish you well in your future, and whatever that may be, I know that you will still be keeping up the good fight. And I believe that the best is yet to come. Together, we must continue the fight to end racial injustice in this state and throughout this nation. And America is indeed at a moment of awakening. We're at a time when the voices of freedom and equality and justice for all are rising from every corner of our nation. And for over a century, the NAACP has been standing on the front lines of this fight as the nation's oldest and largest champion of civil rights. And on a personal note, let me say that all that I am and all that I do flows from the sacrifices and the inspiration of great NAACP leaders from W.E.B. Du Bois and Ida B. Wells to Thurgood Marshall, Shirley Chisholm, and Hazel Duke. It's part of my DNA. It's who I am. It's the reason why I wake up every morning with a fire in my belly. It's because of all that they do. And I was reminded of all that they do as I stood online today to vote. That's what is so important, because there is so much on the line. Everything is basically on the line. Our basic democracy is on the line. Because as the first Black woman to serve as Attorney General and the first Black woman elected statewide, I know what it means to the African-American community. Not only am I the chief law enforcement official in the state, but also one who truly and deeply understands how it feels to be treated as if your life doesn't matter. And today, as we face the twin pandemics of COVID-19 and systemic racism, it is clear our work is more important than ever. The deaths of Daniel Prude, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and so many other unarmed Black and brown individuals of color at the hands of the police have rekindled a flame of righteous indignation that has been smoldering for years. Much of America, it seems, is finally awakening to a truth that all of us have known for a long time. But now individuals are witnessing it on video cameras. We need to call out and root out the systemic inequalities in policing and society that have led to this needless cycle of death of African Americans. We need fundamental change all up and down the system, and we need justice. And on all of this and more, my friends, as we all know, is on the ballot. And so as you go to the polls in November, I ask you to remember the words of John Lewis, who risked his life to secure the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. He reminded us that the vote is precious. It is always sacred. It is the most powerful, nonviolent tool we have in our democracy. So no matter how you do it, by mail, early voting, or in person on November 3rd, we must turn out in numbers like never before and vote like our lives depended upon it. And we must vote in record numbers so that there is no question with regards to the integrity of this election. The only way that we can combat his foolishness and this notion that somehow there's a lot of fraud in the election is to come out in record numbers. And I am so glad that here in the city, the lines are wrapping around blocks 2 times and 3 times in quiet defiance to what this administration represents. And I am so proud that individuals are voting with their feet. And so I thank you, because we recognize that our lives depend upon it. And as a proud Howard University graduate, I look forward to seeing Kamala Harris as the next vice president of these United States. Can you imagine? I'm so happy and excited. I thank you all. This is great. Thank you, NAACP. Let's go vote, and let's vote for change. God bless you and all.
Well, thank you, Madam Attorney General, for those very strong and enthusiastic remarks. It must be an off day for Attorney General James. She wasn't as dynamic as she usually is. She seemed actually kind of, she wasn't really expressing herself. We should give her a little more time to really say what she wants to say. But I must say that it's so exciting to see a Tish James, a Kamala Harris, 3 branch presidents in the region that are here, and all the great women in this country who are really embracing the leadership that they've earned and have deserved for so many years. But back when I was growing up and my parents took me to an NAACP meeting when I was 10 years old. See, this is why I turned out, with such a difficult life, because I wasn't raised correctly. I should have been, someplace where 10-year-olds were. But all I saw running the place were men, nothing but men, except one, Hazel Dukes. And Hazel hung in there with those men. They try to go in other rooms and have private meetings. She'd go in there and break them up. And Hazel was the strongest voice, the most incredible organizer. She organized with business. She organized with labor. She organized with Republicans and Democrats. It didn't matter. And that's what she's always stood for. Dynamic, articulate, perceptive, courageous, and outspoken. And I want to tell you, in 2008, she gave the introduction to me at the National NAACP in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was so stunned by the way she introduced me, I could barely speak. And everybody forgot that there was another speaker coming on after me, somebody by the name of Barack Obama. She should have been introducing him. So I just want to say that as branch president of the NAACP, to the state president, member of the national board, member of the executive committee, and the person that officials of any color, race, or gender go to whenever there's trouble. She is really the saint of our times. I'd like to introduce the Honorable Hazel Dukes.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Governor Paterson. And let me say congratulations to my 3 presidents and my 2nd vice president, who's on the call tonight, Karin Blanding, who has been working in the central New York. But before I go any further, may I just mention my good friend, Van Robinson, one of my co-laborers that worked with me for so many years before he went into public service. And I tell you that there would not be a central NAACP branches if it was not for the time and the energy that Van gave over 2 decades almost to that area up there. So let me salute Van tonight as we salute these 3 presidents who dared not to let many obstacles and different things that has been in our way stop them. So congratulations to our presidents, Linda Brown Robinson, Nelson, and Hernandez, and to the honorees that you're honoring tonight, and to our vice chair of our national board, Karin Franklin-King, who will be given an address. What a great night. The Attorney General said she had voted. I said I would be the first person to vote this morning at 10 o'clock. I arrived in my voting place at 9:44. I live at 135th Street. The school is at 134th Street. I ended up at the end of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard. That's what's happening in our Harlem here. You can't believe the turnout all over this city. People are in lines for blocks. Karen Blanding, who lived in Queens, said there was a 10 block where she usually votes. So she's going to get up and try it again tomorrow. But it is so important. Your theme is so great. 111 years, this old ship has been fighting to pursue justice and to defeat hate. And the last 4 years, as we thought we had taken many steps, we can see that this man that we have in the White House has tried to take us back. But the NAACP has stood firm and fast. We are tired of dying. And so we are voting because our lives depend on it. So congratulations again to my wonderful presidents, all of the members, sponsors in the Central New York. We have Central Long Island also, because we started in Niagara Falls and go all the way to Eastern Long Island. We are 56 branches strong with thousands of members. We are the best in the country. New York State Conference. I'm honored and proud to be with you tonight. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Hazel, for that great presentation. And since I live right where you live, for those of you who don't know, that's a long line. She stood on. What time did you actually get to vote?
I got the vote because they came and got me at 11 o'clock. I had Dr. Marcella Maxwell with me, so she could not stand. And your brother was one of our drivers today. We had a caravan that we went all through Central Harlem and East Harlem today. So Karen Blandon and myself has been up since 8 o'clock this morning, not only voting, but out encouraging our people to participate.
Well, thank you for your participation here today. Now we're going to move to the opportunity for the 3 presidents to speak themselves. We're going to welcome them. They put this very difficult and arduous effort into having this dinner. It's amazing that they could do this, and it started on time and everybody logged in on time. And you know, I get on these conference calls, sometimes it takes us a half hour before we can get everybody on. So congratulations to all of them. So let's start with the Syracuse Onondaga president, Linda Brown Robinson.
And so good afternoon. And I extend a warm welcome to our regional honorees. The individuals that are selected around the region go through a strict vetting process. And so without that, 2020 is going to be a great year because we've got some great honorees. So congratulations to all the honorees, well deserved. My colleagues and friends around the region, and of course, our generous sponsors, who without you, this event would not have been possible. So collectively, Rome, Auburn, Syracuse have 145 years of service. Folks, that's 145 years. Can you applaud us for that? So we can't hear your applause, but we can probably see it. And around there, we send some more warm welcomes to people. But I said today, so nowhere else but Central New York can you go from 82 degrees yesterday, Friday, to 46 degrees on Saturday. So you see why we're so very special here in Central New York. But nevertheless, we still welcome you and we send a loud shout out to the Central New York people. And to our Emcees, Karin Franklin-King, who's been my friend for a long time, and my great buddy, now celebrated author, Governor David Paterson, and to our NAACP tireless and fearless leader, New York State President Hazel N. Dukes, who I've known since 1970 when Van and many others of us started the branch. And of course, our many fantastic elected leaders around the state, the region, and the local hamlets that make up Central New York. A real big round of applause. More round of applause goes to Karen Boykin-Towns, who is our special vice chair for the national board, and all the way, folks, from Little Rock, Arkansas, Frank Scott Jr. So tonight is indeed a really special, very special night. So feel free to take pictures at your location, send them in to your local branches so we can see what you look like, and then we'll post them on our social media pages. I know that we're ready to eat in a little while, but I set up my china so Van and I can eat off china because we eat off of paper plates a lot. And so before I turn the program over to Rome President Jackie Nelson, I want to say it's been an honor and it's been a privilege to work with Jackie and Eli. So you guys, thanks for the great run. And now they've become my friends and my family. And so we can't, and being my special colleagues in the struggle for justice and equality for all citizens. Thank you, Jackie and Eli. And let's go vote 2020. Jackie, you're next up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, thank you, Linda. Hello, we're coming from Rome, New York at the historic Capitol Theater where we are practicing social distancing. This collaboration at this time in our region is history making, and all of you participating tonight are on the right side of history. As the Central New York 3 branches, Syracuse, Onondaga, Auburn, Cayuga, and Rome come together in a show of unity and action, bringing you 145 years combined fighting for human and civil rights. Thank you to all of our elected officials who have taken the time to acknowledge the 3 branches. The work of all 3 branches have been equally important to our region, and we continue to work towards a better Central New York. We hope you enjoyed this evening's program, and to our honored guests, thank you for appearing tonight and acknowledging our brothers and sisters of Central New York. Now I would like to introduce my friend and fellow freedom fighter, Dr. Eli Hernandez, president of the Auburn Cayuga branch. Today is a very important day, Eli. Can you tell us about it?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, President Nelson and President Brown Robinson. It has been a pleasure to work with both of you. I believe I think Governor Paterson was talking about the importance of having more women, and women, I think it's time that we have more women take over. I've learned so much from both of you. Today is a very special day, and I should have known, and all 3 of us should have known, that before it got to us, it was already going to be revealed on how important of a day it is. It is not only a historic day for all 3 branches and our communities from Oneida to Auburn and Onondaga, but that is also the first day of early voting. Several people have said it, and I'll say it again. It is so important for us to be able to go out and vote early. So let me ask you a question, President Brown Robinson. Have you voted yet?
Van and I voted a few weeks ago, and we voted via absentee ballot, but dropped it off, not in the mail. We went right to our Onondaga County Board of Elections and dropped it on the mailbox inside the Board of Elections, didn't we, Van?
Yes, absolutely.
And that is exactly one opportunity for you to do. President Nelson, have you voted yet?
Well, as you all know, starting today is early voting. And in Rome, you can cast your vote at the South Rome Senior Center, 112 Ridge Street. And early voting runs through today to October 31st. But on October 31st is going to be a special day here in Rome because we're going to ask people to come out and vote with us and cast your votes at the South Rome Senior Center. We're going to ask everyone to take their souls to the polls.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. There are various ways you can vote in the 2020 national and local elections. If you like to vote via an absentee ballot, you have until October 27th to apply online, by email, fax, or to postmark an application or letter of application by mail for an absentee ballot. Okay, the last day to apply in person for absentee ballots is November 2nd. Folks, let's be real. You have to take yourself to the polls. This is the only way. You want change, you need to do it. This is our message. We're here today to acknowledge, to celebrate, but also to give you the call to action. We need all of you to take action, and how you take action is by voting. This is our message from all three presidents to all of you. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts that we're all together. I do want to give a special thank you, not only to my two partners here, but also to Sherry Owens, who has done a magnificent job in putting all this together. We cannot forget you and forget everyone else who's in the back scenes who has been making this a possibility for all of us, and all of you for joining us. So enough talking from us, and now let's get the show running. Thank you.
Well, thank you to all of our presidents. You are to be commended for your commitment to pursuing justice and defeating hate. And by the way, that is the theme for this evening's event. All three presidents have been doing this work for many, many, many years. And as I hear this, and as I heard the Attorney General say that she's been doing this for a long time. She remembers Hazel Dukes. I remember growing up in Brooklyn, my mother reading to me things from the Amsterdam News. Do we remember that paper? So this is bringing back a lot of memories about what we have to do to stop voter suppression. It's 2020 and we're still dealing with that. So thank you to our presidents for the work that you've done for many, many years. David?
Thank you. So in 1909, when the NAACP is founded, and most of us know this, but it's great that we have younger and new people along so that we can explain to them that at that founding convention that was supposed to be at Niagara Falls, the participants had to go across the river to Canada and stay there because they would not allow Black people in the hotels in Niagara Falls. And the organizers of the convention weren't aware of that until they actually got there. But at that convention, W.E.B. Du Bois, the first head of the NAACP, was asked, well, what is it that you Black people at the time, they called us Negroes, want? And what he said is, we want an equal opportunity in education. We want fair housing. We want the chance to get jobs. And we want, of course, the opportunity to get decent and affordable health care. So really, 111 years later, those values still have not changed. And yet, I'm sure many of us are surprised after the victories in the Brown versus the Board of Education, and then the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968, that right now we almost feel like some of those gains are being withered away by an antagonism, which I call the new racism. It denies the existence of racism itself, as you saw the other night, and takes no responsibility for inequality, as you saw the other night. And that's put us in the position where even when we protest and raise objections, it's labeled as some sort of terrorism or communism. And we're really going back to a very difficult era. The reason we won't be that way is because of the actions of people such as the one I'm about to introduce now. Karen Towns is a partner in a very large public relations and consulting agency. But prior to that, she was a partner in a political lobbying agency. Before that, she was the first diversity officer in the history of Pfizer, named by the president in 2008. She worked at Pfizer for a number of years. Before that, she worked for Martin Connor, who was the minority leader, and Manfred Ornstein, also the minority leader of the New York State Senate. And way back when, she worked for me as my legislative director and chief of staff. She is one of those people that has a rare combination of skills. She can deliver a tough message, but do it in such a civil way that people always respect her and always listen to her. She is married to former Assemblyman Darrell Towns, where they live in Brooklyn with their two children, one of whom, Jasmine, is my goddaughter. So this is not an objective introduction. It's very subjective and partisan and completely family oriented. But I must say that Karen first came to my office in 1986 and said that she was lobbying for independent colleges. She was at Mount St. Vincent, where she got her BA, went on to get her MBA. And around that time, she said she had applied to the city's Office of Management and Budget, and she wanted a recommendation from me, and she didn't get the job. So I said, look, would you like to work in the summer in my office? And she did that, but she hadn't found a job by the end of the summer. And I said, would you like to stay a little longer? She says, I'll stay a little longer, but I'm not going to stay much longer because I hate politics. That was the understatement of the century, because she's gone on to become one of the great political, social, and business leaders all around the country. So I introduced to some of you and reintroduced to so many others of you, Karen Boykin-Towns.
Thank you, Governor, so much for that very warm introduction. It is such an honor to be with my New York State NAACP family this evening. I'd like to thank President Brown Robinson of the Syracuse Onondaga branch, President Nelson of the Rome branch, and President Hernandez of the Auburn Cayuga branch for the invitation to this, your first Central New York virtual banquet. There are no words to express the importance of the work you're doing here at a time such as this. Now, before I go any further, I just need to make something clear. Linda, Jacqueline, and Eli, as NAACP peers, I am your vice chairman. If you would have reached out and asked me to be your Freedom Fund speaker, I would have looked at my calendar, and if I was available, I would have said yes. But to call my mentor, big brother, one of my bestest friends in the whole wide world, godfather to my children, and by the way, the 55th governor of the state of New York, that meant that no matter what I had on my calendar, this is what I would be doing. So I am honored to be here with you in my home state, but next time, just call me. We could work it out. Our great NAACP state conference is led by the incomparable Dr. Hazel N. Dukes, who I have the pleasure of serving with on the National Board of Directors. I'm pleased to let you know that you have outstanding leadership on the board from New York. Serving with distinction is George Gresham, Peter Rose, and Raven Waters. Just last Saturday, we had the last quarterly meeting of the National Board of Directors for 2020. Your theme for this year's banquet, "We Can't Rest in Pursuing Justice and Defeating Hate," is indicative of our 111-year-old association and the combined 145 years of your three branches who have come together in partnership for this event. We can't rest in pursuing justice and defeating hate is so appropriate right now. If there is one thing we're not doing, it's resting. Honestly, I'm not really sure when we have truly been able to rest. I'm not going to go back to the days of slavery to talk about our challenges, but instead focus on a time that many in our virtual ballroom might remember. Many might say the work done in the 1950s and the 1960s were the heyday of the NAACP. In 1954, we had the historic Supreme Court victory of Brown versus Board of Education, overturning the separate but equal doctrine. We had enactment of the Civil Rights Act of 1957, the first civil rights legislation passed by Congress since the Reconstruction era. In 1961, we had the Freedom Riders protesting segregated bus terminals. Ultimately, the Kennedy administration issued regulations prohibiting segregation in interstate transit terminals. In 1963, we had the March on Washington. In 1964, there was the passage of the Civil Rights Act, guaranteeing equal employment for all and the integration of public facilities. In 1965, the year when I was born, there was a passage of the Voting Rights Act, banning all voter literacy tests and providing federal examiners in certain voting jurisdictions. In 1968, the Housing Act was passed and signed into law. There were major gains won to end segregation, voter suppression, discriminatory employment, and housing practices. Locally in your area, the race barrier began to fall in the 1960s with Malchester Reeves elected 15th Ward Supervisor on the County Board of Supervisors. Robert Warr elected to the Syracuse School Board. Clarence Junie Dunham elected to the Onondaga County Legislature. But here we are, 52 years later, in the year 2020, where there are some trying to roll back the clock. As Black and Brown people, we are disproportionately impacted by this global pandemic caused by an inadequate response to the coronavirus. Mass unemployment and an uncertain economy, over-policing resulting in the killing of unarmed men and women, and a racial reckoning due to systemic racism. Despite the vitriol that emanates from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, also known as Black Lives Matter Plaza, we, the NAACP, will not sit idly by on the sidelines and be deprived of our fundamental rights. We are done dying. We, the NAACP, are far from perfect, but let's be clear. The NAACP is alive and well. That's because of the hard work and dedication of each of you. You are the leaders, members, supporters, and allies who are joining together, fighting against injustice and standing up to hate. We see the work you've been doing here in Central New York, and on behalf of our chairman, Leon W. Russell, President Derek Johnson, and I, we say thank you. Before the pandemic, your members were working tirelessly on our game changers, areas consisting of economic development, education, health, public safety and criminal justice, voting rights, political representation, and engaging youth leadership. Things changed, and under pandemic protocols, each branch worked to get the community to fill out their 2020 census. You've worked to register eligible voters for the upcoming election, while also ensuring registered voters knew why it's important that they vote like never before. Our lives depend on it. Family, we have 10 days, just 10 days until the polls close on November the 3rd. Today was the first day of early voting in our state. Today, across the country, the NAACP celebrated Early Vote Day. All across this country, there were CDC compliant Get Out the Vote rallies and caravans, along with the virtual Black the Vote, Our Lives Depend on It homecoming celebration. Over a month ago, I made my vote plan where I learned my options. Tomorrow, I will mask up and go out to vote with pride. I'm sure I will feel a sense of relief, but that will not be enough. I will get back to reaching out to others around the importance of their vote. This time around, just my vote isn't enough. I know most of you are planning to vote, and many did today. I know you're working hard to make sure we are represented in this election. I know you've organized voter registration drives, and I know you know the importance of this moment. Today, I'm praying you will not rest in this home stretch to the election. Call or text your friends and family members, helping them make their plan to vote. With 10 days to go, I think back to the theme for tonight. We can't rest in pursuing justice. The NAACP has launched a civic engagement program called Protect Our People at the Polls as a way to organize and train our community to better serve as volunteer poll monitors. We have heard and read about the shenanigans, and so we are working with over 100 partner organizations to prepare and fight against the voter intimidation and voter suppression we expect to see across this country. Our great leaders like the late Congressman Lewis and Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, but also today's heroes like your very own Van Robinson, who of course is joining us this evening, they have had the courage to speak out and fight against injustice, restless in their pursuit of justice and defeating hate. It hasn't been easy, but their work has allowed us to stand here as our ancestors' wildest dreams. They did not rest when they were told to sit in sections reserved for Black people. They did not rest when they were told to sit at the back of the bus. And because they did not rest, we are resilient because of the restless fighting of those that have come before us. So I stand here today, proud of our progress, but even more insistent and resolute that we owe it to our children, our grandchildren, and the generations to come to fight for our future, their future, so they can continue to shatter glass ceilings and break barriers. I know we're exhausted, but this race isn't finished. The race is not given to the swift. It's given to the person who perseveres, the one who doesn't give up, the one who keeps going. Let us keep going because we know when we fight, we win. Thank you so much, Central New York NAACP, and God bless us all.
Karin Boykin Towns. Karin, what a nice name. Thank you so very much for such a passionate call to action. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're honored to have you here with us. God bless you. Now it's time for a little entertainment. So those of you at home, it's time to get your jazz groove on. So give it up for Jacqueline Joyner, Syracuse's own saxophonist extraordinaire.
I just want to say I am very excited to be a part of this event this evening, although it is virtual. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to give you guys a little bit of music, and to my very special friend, Linda. Just want to tell you, Linda Robinson, I love you. And Mr. Van Robinson, I want to tell you, I like you. Anyways, so I'm just gonna play a couple of songs for you guys, and one of the songs is a surprise too because I have a new EP that's coming out. But anyways, and you can visit my website www.jackimjoyner.com, JACKIEMJOYNER.com, and you can check out all of my music. And also, before I forget, y'all got to get my book. I am an author. This is my first book, Zaria, which came out a couple of years ago, and I have another book that is coming out also. So make sure you guys pick that up too. But anyway, so let's get to some music. And I know that, I can't see y'all, but
You know, it's all virtual, but it doesn't matter to me. Let's have fun. Let's do it.
That was awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Jacqueline Joyner. I should have had a glass of wine in my hand whenever I hear saxophone. I feel like I should be sitting back. I think I may get one on the next break here. And thank you, Linda Brown Robinson, who has a knack for pulling people in to perform, to give back of themselves, to share their talents. And let's have a round of applause virtually for Jacqueline. Beautiful, beautiful. Now it's my pleasure, my privilege to introduce our second keynote speaker for the evening, the first African-American mayor of Little Rock, Arkansas, the Honorable Frank D. Scott Jr. Little Rock voters made history on December 4th, 2018, when they selected Frank Scott Jr. as the city's 73rd mayor and first elected Black chief executive. Little Rock, folks, Little Rock. Since that day, Mayor Scott has worked to unite our diverse neighborhoods into one city and one people, cooperating to expand the city's economy and improve the city's neighborhoods, make them diverse, and to cooperate in expanding and improving the quality of life. As an associate pastor, a youth mentor, as a professional, Frank lives out the values he learned growing up in Southwest Little Rock, the same area where he lives today. He gives back to the city that invested in him and reminds young people that values are the foundation of a purposeful life. Mayor Scott believes that when we come together, we are more than just a series of neighborhoods and zip codes, and he's absolutely right. We're more than that. We are the people of Little Rock, and we can change course for a better direction for our city if we have the will to do it. I love your values. I love your purpose-filled life. I can't wait to meet you virtually. I present to you Mayor Scott.
Well, thank you so much, Karen. I do appreciate the warm introduction. I want to take this time to share my appreciation to President Robinson in the invitation for tonight's event, as well as former Arkansas NAACP President Diane Charles, and always in recognition of the current President Diane Curry. Before I begin today, as a student of politics and a student of history, it is great to be with former Governor Paterson, to see the Attorney General James, and also a dear friend and Mayor Ben Walsh of Syracuse, New York. As I think back and recall on today's event, and the question has been asked is, how do we defeat hate? I think we all understand that we are in the midst of challenging times. We all had high hopes for the year 2020. Some have even discussed that the year 2020 was the year of perfect vision. Well, one of the things I can say as an old Baptist preacher, that it is a perfect vision. We just didn't control that vision. And that vision, what we're seeing right now, because we did not think we would see social and civil unrest. We clearly did not think that we would see a global pandemic, and we did not think we would even see an economic recession. However, we are still here. And in the midst of these times, I dare say as a millennial mayor, I've seen through the history of books, the civil rights movement. I've read about it, I've heard about it. I've seen various different things about our history, but we are in a living moment right now. From a global pandemic to social and civil unrest, we are right now in our Emmett Till season, when we all watch the late George Floyd die in the midst of our own eyes of 8 minutes. But no longer was it only George Floyd, it was Ahmaud Arbery, it was Sandra Bland, it was Eric Garner. It was so many countless other Black brothers and Black sisters that have fallen prey to the hands of lack of police accountability. And so when we ask the question of what should we do to defeat hate, as a descendant of the Little Rock Nine, and we're here today in the NAACP, I think we all should understand that there are always people and power and people that can defeat hate. As I think back to history and I see Madam Hazel Dukes and understanding history and understanding what she's done in the national NAACP, but also what she's done in the central New York area, I know she knows the name of Daisy Bates. For those who do not know the name of Daisy Bates, while the Little Rock Nine tested Brown versus Board of Education in 1957, as they walked through the steps of Little Rock Central High, they were led by a woman by the name of Daisy Bates, who was an Arkansas NAACP president. She also was the only woman to speak at the March on Washington. And when I see a Miss Hazel Dukes, I think back on Miss Daisy Bates and I understand what truly mattered and how do we defeat hate. We defeat hate in 3 ways. Those 3 ways, we have to focus on 3 pillars of justice, equitable economics, and the eradication of racism. When I speak to the word justice, understand that justice means we must right wrongs. In this Emmett Till season that we are now in, after the summer of reckoning, we must right the wrongs of understanding that we must have police reform. We must have police accountability. So we must challenge our leaders on what are they doing to ensure that our police officers have the ability to be accountable, to be clear, to be transparent, to ensure that every police department has body-worn cameras, to ensure that every police department has banned chokeholds, to ensure that every police department has a duty to intervene policy, to ensure that every police department does exactly what they can do to get to meet the standards of the 8 can't wait. We must right wrongs. But not only are we righting wrongs on police reform and accountability, we must challenge ourselves. What are we doing to build up our youth? What are we doing in the realm of education? What are we doing in the realm of youth programming? Because our youth are our most precious assets and they truly are our future. And we must invest in our future so we do not repeat the past. As we understand that we must have a focus on justice, in this day and age, now more than ever, we must truly understand what equity means and what equitable economic means to our futures. We must ensure that we are focusing on equity in the marketplace to ensure that we truly have diversity in the marketplace. It is 2020, and we should be past time of celebrating a first this and a first that because we should have multiple. And the only way we can get to equitable economics is we must understand the word intentionality. We're not discussing tokenism. We're discussing an opportunity and the ability to move forward by being intentional in any and everything that we do. We must challenge our city governments to ensure that minorities and women are not only doing business in our cities, but the cities are doing business with them. We must be very intentional on how we focus on moving by closing the skills gap with minorities and women, but transitioning from the skills gap to ensuring that there's equity investment, and then from equity investment to leveraging access to capital. The intent is to ensure that we move from being underbanked to bankable. We must move forward in those ways. But not only is it ensuring that we right wrongs and justice, ensuring that we're more intentional in equitable economics, but we have to, it's imperative that we eradicate racism in all that we do. That's what we must do to defeat hate. But it takes all of us. It takes every generation, our seasoned brothers and sisters and our young brothers and sisters. There's a desire for our seasoned brothers and sisters to advise and counsel us young brothers and sisters to ensure that we know the pathway. We've lost many giants over the several years. Just this year, we've talked about Congressman John Lewis, who was the epitome of the phrase, good trouble. We've also lost Reverend C.T. Vivian, both of which were young in age as they advocated for the civil rights movement, the Civil Rights Act, as well as the Voters Act of 1965. It is still bewildering to me and to others that we only are sitting upon 55 years of having the ability to vote. 55 years. See what can be changed in a generation. And if we understand that we focus on justice and we focus on equitable economics and we even focus on eradication of racism, we know we can defeat hate. But we're 10 days away from the most important election we've seen in our lifetime. But guess what? 4 years from now, we'll say that's the most important that we've seen in a lifetime. But I can tell you right now, there is a desire, there is a need that we focus right now, that we have leadership that is focused on justice, leadership that is focused on being intentional with equitable economics, that we have leadership that understands that we must eradicate racism, because racism is alive and clear. Sometimes it is covert rather than being overt. And that's the reason why we must have the plans and the strategies that our forefathers and our foremothers had in 1909. When they derived the notion and the idea and the belief, the vision and the strategy to create the National Association of Colored People. I dare say without them, I would not be the first elected Black mayor of the city of Little Rock. Neither would I be that without the Little Rock Nine and a Daisy Bates. And I'm sure there's countless others in the central New York area that can say the same, but we can say the whole entire same for this entire nation. But it's time for all of us to step up. As we understand, back in the book of Esther, somewhere around the chapter of 14, it says when Mordecai, Esther's cousin but godfather, said, if you remain silent right now, where will the help come from? For now, it is such a time as this. It is such a time as this to defeat hate. It is such a time as this to advocate for justice, equitable economics, and the eradication of racism. So I challenge each and every person here today to figure out in your own individual life, in your collective communities, what can we all do to fight for justice, equitable economics, and the eradication of racism. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor. That was inspiring. One of the Little Rock Nine we know very well in New York, Ernest Green. And I wonder if when they were trying to get into that school, if they ever dreamed that in their lifetime, there would be a Black mayor of Little Rock. So there is among the other things that are happening today, there is still light that comes forward, and we just saw an example of it. And I don't know where we may find the mayor again, so I'm gonna stay in touch with him because I have a feeling he's gonna be going to some other places. So it's time for a little more entertainment, and that means we're gonna have to bring on the doctor. The doctor is Mike Woods, and he will entertain us for a while as we listen to the music and kind of absorb the great speech of the previous speakers.
Doc Woods is a bassist, educator, composer, lecturer, and clinician. He is the recipient of numerous prestigious grants and awards for performance, education, composition, scholarship, and leadership. Doc Woods has written more than 700 compositions in styles, including choral, orchestral, chamber, jazz, combo, and big band. Folks, put your hands together, sip a little bit of your wine, sit back and enjoy the sounds of Doc Woods.
2, 1, 2, even 8, go. The big father, papa, the big father, both back to both, but I will move out and go away, but I'm doing it. Stop down, 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 let's get away,
have really had some great performers on here this evening, haven't we? And now what we're going to do is to recognize more than just the great leaders of our branches, the great leaders that we've talked about today, particularly Linda, Jackie, and Eli, are, in addition to the hard work, they're the symbols of the work that so many people who are members of our NAACP chapters and all the great work that they do. You don't always get to hear their names, but tonight you are going to hear some of their names. So why don't we start and recognize from the chapters that come online right now, chapters, and let's start recognizing some of the work that people are doing to try to maintain opportunities for all of us.
I speak to you in the spirit of Martin Luther King. My name is Gary Finch. I represent Auburn, Cayuga, and Onondaga counties in the New York State Legislature. I'm here to present a resolution honoring and recognizing the courage and commitment that Eli Hernandez has in defense of human rights. Leadership, true leadership, cannot exist without courage. So I would like to share with you some important points that are within the resolution honoring both Eli Hernandez and the NAACP. Under the able leadership of its president, Eli Hernandez, of the Auburn Cayuga branch of the NAACP, it has been instrumental at a time when the flames of systemic and virulent racism are being fanned by everyone, from faceless cowards on social media to powerful politicians. And when leaders like President Hernandez are striking an incredibly difficult balance, they're bringing people together and broadening coalitions for progress, for remaining utterly steadfast in their principles, and remaining true to its position, to its mission. The Auburn Cayuga branch of the NAACP ensures the political, educational, and social economic equality of its minority citizens. In addition, this vital organization has been extraordinarily committed to eliminating racial prejudice and to educating the public of the adverse effects of racial discrimination. Therefore, let it be resolved that this auspicious occasion presents an opportunity for the New York State Legislature to recognize and pay tribute to President Eli Hernandez and all its members of the Auburn Cayuga branch of the NAACP. And let me close by thanking you for allowing me to share this with you and presenting this document to Eli Hernandez.
Good evening and welcome to the first ever Central New York Virtual Freedom Fund Banquet, sponsored by the Rome branch of the NAACP, the Syracuse Onondaga branch of the NAACP. At this time, I would love to give thank you to President Linda Brown Robinson from Syracuse Onondaga branch and Jacqueline Nelson from the Rome branch for your collaboration. I am so happy to have been working with you ladies. On behalf of the Auburn Cayuga County branch of the NAACP, under the direction of that President, Dr. Hazel and Dukes from the New York State Conference, I want to thank you for joining us this evening. I would also like to take this time to acknowledge our corporate sponsors, Eli Smith Construction LLC, Nucor Steel, the Auburn Housing Authority, Auburn Public Theater, and Cafe 108. Thank you for your partnership. Despite the number of working African American business owners failing more than 40% amid the coronavirus, 5 African American women-owned businesses have emerged in Auburn and Cayuga County. We know that 2020 is the celebration of women's rights to vote. However, we know that it did not include women of color. Tonight is a special night because not only do we recognize Black-owned businesses, but we recognize women-owned businesses in Auburn and Cayuga County. Please join me in honoring the African American Trailblazer Business Award to Shakina Bowman, Hard Work and Resources, Inc., Camstone Management and Consulting, LLC, Janice Freeman, soon to be Dr. Freeman, Grow and Glow Sisterhood, LLC, Ashley McLeod and Janice Freeman in Our Words Apparel Company, a division of Gwen Inc., Kizzy Mitchell and Rowena McCoy Simpson, Precious Stones One Stop Shop, LLC, and Kizzy Mitchell and Jasmine Freeman, K&J Let's Get Fit. Thank you on behalf of the NAACP, and congratulations to all.
Good evening. My name is Shakina K. Bowman, and I am both the owner and founder of Camstone Management and Consulting, LLC, and Hard Work and Resources, Incorporated. Both of these companies are lifelong dreams and a gift from God. I'm so thankful He chose me to do this work. Hard Work and Resources' guiding mission is to provide resources and programs to individuals in the community to promote a healthy lifestyle and reduce barriers. Camstone Management and Consulting guiding mission is to provide tools and resources to nonprofit professionals in the community. Both companies come from a sense of community, and both companies will allow me to be a resource for all individuals in the community. In closing, I would like to thank my family for their dedication and for their support and being able to allow me to bring both of these companies to fruition in 2020. Thank you and have a good night.
Good evening, my name is Janice Freeman, and I am the founder and owner of Grow and Glow Sisterhood, LLC, which was designed to create a mentoring platform for young adult women and college students within our community, but also nationally. Grow and Glow actually was a passion of mine because being an older sister, a leader within the community, and coming from my own sisterhood and tribe, it was very important to me to establish a company that advocated and supported, but also created a space for young African American women to be able to grow and glow professionally and personally. In closing, I would like to thank my parents for their support and these wonderful women for creating cultural shifts within our community. And I would also like to thank the NAACP for recognizing these women-owned businesses and what it is that we are putting on for our community. Thank you.
Good evening.
My name is Janice Freeman.
And I'm Ashley McLeod.
And we are
In Our Words Apparel Company. We would like to thank the Auburn Cayuga NAACP branch for recognizing our company In Our Words Apparel with the Trailblazer and Business Award. I would like to additionally congratulate my co-manager Janice Freeman on her nomination as well for her business Grow and Glow. I'm very, very proud of her and for starting her new business, and I'm in full support. Thanks to the Gwen Inc. team for incubating our business inside our corporation. We appreciate their support as we focus on being an example of Black excellence through business ownership. For us, it is important for young Black women to become business owners as a way of using our talents and ideas to better ourselves and our community. We remain committed to ensuring the products created by In Our Words Apparel Company inspire girls and women to go into the world and be great. Thanks again for presenting the Trailblazer Business Award to In Our Words Apparel Company. We promise to keep making ourselves and our community proud.
Thank you.
I'm Kizzy Mitchell.
And I'm Rowena McCoy Simpson. And we are Precious Stones One Stop Shop, LLC.
We would like to thank God first. We would like to thank Auburn Cayuga and the NAACP chapter for the Trailblazer Business Award. Congrats to all the recipients. We would also like to thank Brian Muldrow from the MBA for helping us with our business vision and us moving forward.
We are your local barbershop, clothing, accessory, and beauty supply shop located at 45 Howard Street. Again, thank you for the Trailblazer Business Reward, and this is an honor for us to receive this.
Thank you. I'm Kizzy Mitchell.
Good evening, and I'm Jasmine Freeman.
And we are K&J Let's Get Fit.
First, I would like to thank the Auburn Cayuga chapter NAACP for this Trailblazer Award. And we would also like to thank Auburn Public Theater and Booker T. Washington Community Center for providing space for us to be able to do our workouts. We would also like to thank our community of workout supporters that we have that's been with us since day one.
Yes. Jasmine and I formed K&J Let's Get Fit back in 2016. We wanted to help people with their fitness goals and live a healthier lifestyle, with a focus on women of color. 80% of African American women are overweight or obese, compared to 64.8% of non-Hispanic whites. This can lead to hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, and high cholesterol. By working on our own personal health goals, it has given us a desire to inspire and work with others to accomplish their goals. Thank you again for seeing us and presenting K&J with this award. We will continue to press forward in helping our community with their health and fitness goals. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marianne Buttenschon from the New York State Assembly. I have the honor and privilege to represent Rome, New York, where the Rome NAACP is hosting their Freedom Fund event. I want to congratulate all the Rome awardees for the talent and dedication and commitment to our community, as well as all the branches of the NAACP that are participating tonight. This collaborative effort is an outstanding opportunity to show how we work together for the better of our communities. Again, congratulations to all the awardees, and thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this outstanding event.
Good evening. Welcome to the historic Capitol Theater in Rome, New York. My name is Jacqueline Nelson, and I am the president of the NAACP Rome, New York branch. I hope you are all enjoying this evening's Freedom Fun event. I want to thank our sisters and brothers from the Syracuse Onondaga and the Auburn Cayuga branches for sharing this historic evening with us. I would like to especially acknowledge all those who have worked behind the scenes to make this event happen tonight. I would like to say thank you to President Brown Robinson and President Hernandez, as this evening theme tells us we can't rest in pursuing justice and defeating hate. At this time, I would like to introduce to you the NAACP Rome, New York 2020 Freedom Fund honorees. The city of Rome has faced many challenges, and we would be remiss if we did not mention this. We questioned our elected officials and those who serve our community. We look forward to the day when all citizens of Rome feel safe, acknowledged, and a part of this city. Rome has many individuals who have fought the good fight, got into good trouble, And when they saw something, they said something. We all know who encouraged us to do these things. One of our greatest American civil rights leaders and Congressman, John Lewis. So let's get started. Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm said, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring your own chair. Our awards start with a library director who saw a need in our community to assist those who are disenfranchised, homeless, and poor. She opened the library to those in need, offering and accepting place to receive services other than just checking out a book. But if you wanted to check out a book and you were late in getting it back, the fees would be waived. She said she wanted people to read, and holding a late fee over their heads wasn't helping. People could go to the library for assistance and information on voting, help with navigating the internet to pay utilities, and filling out your census. She started book clubs and discussions to educate and inform, partnering with the NAACP, hosting movies about the poor and homeless and racial injustices, and then holding a discussion after to inform, educate, and yes, reveal biases. She has changed what a library should be, and for that, our community is grateful. Like Shirley Chisholm, she brought her own chair to the table. For that, we honor Lisa Matt, Director of the Jervis Public Library, with the Shirley Chisholm Freedom Fund Award.
Congratulations to all who will be honored tonight by the Rome NAACP. I thank you sincerely for the unexpected honor of the Shirley Chisholm Freedom Fund Award for my work in the community through Jervis Library. Jervis celebrated its 125th anniversary in July. It reached this milestone because of the community it collaborates with and serves. The work I am involved in is not the work of an individual. It's work that reflects the mission of Jervis Library. It's supported by the employees, the board, their family members, and many volunteers. And it's magnified by individuals and groups in the community with a complement of strengths, energies, and interests. When Rihanna received the National NAACP's President's Award earlier this year, she noted that the issues we face today are bigger than any one of us, but they're not bigger than what we can accomplish when we work together. Although she was speaking globally, this holds true for Rome and any other community. Collaboration goes beyond ego, it thinks long-term, and it seeks long-lasting change. Rather than being immobilized by past or present conditions, fear, or anxiety. Collaboration is action. It gets people registered to vote. It helps them cast their ballots. It gets children tested for lead exposure, gets high-risk populations screened for cancer. It results in representation on community boards and in community discussions. It helps folks complete the census, finds a way to get families' laundry done. It provides Wi-Fi and computer access, helps people complete their income tax returns, and puts books in their hands to teach them how to read, but also how to dream. Thank you again for recognizing this work with the community. May the work of the library continue to be a reflection of a community of action. Thank you.
Booker T. Washington was a great American educator, author, and advisor to presidents of the United States. He understood the importance of educating our young and our adults as well. For decades, the Afro-American Heritage Association in Rome has educated our community on African American history, going to schools to discuss our past and hopes children can see the wonderful futures they can have and understand the sacrifices so many have gone through so they could live better lives. They put displays in schools and libraries so that not just students, but the public can be informed and educated. Every year in the month of February, they host an event to celebrate Black History Month. We are blessed to have an organization in Rome that is dedicated to educating and remembering the rich history of African Americans. This year's Booker T. Washington Freedom Fund Award goes to the Afro-American Heritage Association of Rome, New York. Here to accept the award on behalf of President Willie Talmadge and the Afro-American Heritage Society is Herbert Thorpe, Executive Board Member.
Good evening. To all the guests and fellow members of the NAACP here tonight, it is my honor to accept this award on behalf of the Afro-American Heritage Association of Rome, New York. We were founded 1978 as an organization to collect and present to the general public of Rome, New York, and the surrounding communities information concerning the achievements, the lives of those African Americans who lived in this area and helped build this area to what it is today, many, many years ago. Thank you to the Rome Branch NAACP for making it possible for this award to be presented to the Afro-American Heritage Association. We thank you very much for making this award possible for us. And we really appreciate your attendance here tonight to witness our acceptance of this award for the Afro-American Heritage Association of Rome, New York.
The Lake Delta Kiwanis Club has been a staple in our community for decades. The mission of this organization is to put children first, hosting dinners and craft fairs to raise money to help all children. The Rome Kiwanis Club has worked with the Rome Free Academy Key Club and the Black History Club, along with the NAACP, to celebrate our greatest leader in the civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. For more than a decade, members of the Lake Delta Kiwanis Club have prepared over 100 meals to honor Dr. King on his birthday. This coincides with our annual Dr. Martin Luther King prayer service. The Rome Kiwanis Club understands the importance of bringing a community together to celebrate and embrace our differences, recognizing we are all more alike than we are different. We are a community of wonderful people. I am proud to honor the Lake Delta Kiwanis Club with this year's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Freedom Fund Award. Here to accept the award on behalf of the Lake Delta Kiwanis Club is President Donald James.
Thank you very much for this award, and on behalf of Lake Delta Kiwanis and her members, we do appreciate it very much. I have a little history of Lake Delta Kiwanis. Lake Delta Kiwanis started in December 2nd, 1959. Lake Delta is a nonprofit organization dedicated to serve our community by holding public events as well as donating time, money. We meet every Tuesday at 6:30 at Delta Lake Inn. We hold events in our community to raise funds and raise awareness. 2007 began holding the Martin Luther King breakfast with the help of the NAACP. Since then, Lake Delta Kiwanis has continued to hold the Martin Luther King breakfast each year. We also hold an annual craft fair in November to help out RFA Key Club and Spanish Club at Rome Free Academy. Every year we bring in over 100 vendors. In the school, we have a program called Trout in the Classroom, where students can watch a trout as they develop and release them once they are grown. We hold chicken barbecues to raise funds for our organization. We also held a Veterans Dinner event honoring Rick Falcone and Mark Jennings, along with the veterans who worked hard to get us a Vietnam Veteran Memorial in our community. In conclusion, we at Lake Delta Kiwanis are dedicated to help the community by not only donating money to the community members and groups, but also volunteering our line to be better lives for the people who live around us. And once again, thank you very much. I do appreciate the award.
The next award is the President's Award. This year, the award is very dear to our heart. This award goes to a member or members of the community who has stepped outside the box and has taken uncomfortable chances to make positive changes, to bring people together by acknowledging what is wrong and moving towards making it right. For decades, this couple we honor today have been freedom fighters, role models, and mentors, a power couple who has stood up and spoke out against racial injustices and inequalities. This year we lost Mrs. Jessie Thorpe. Our hearts were broken, not just for Herbert Thorpe, her loving husband, but for this community. When Mrs. Thorpe passed away, Mr. Thorpe called me, and I was very thankful for that. Mr. and Mrs. Thorpe have been involved early on with the Rome branch as founding members, serving in different positions fighting for civil rights in Rome, addressing issues and concerns of people of color. The branch is all the better because of Herbert and Jessie Thorpe. This year's President's Freedom Fund Award goes to Herbert Thorpe and his beloved late wife, Jessie Thorpe.
I'm going to make a presentation as short as I possibly can in two parts. I will begin with myself. I'm Herbert C. Thorpe. I am a former charter member of several organizations, Rome Branch, NAACP, this very branch, Mohawk Valley Frontiers Club, Prince Hall Military Lodge, and the Afro-American Heritage Association. And I am married to the next person. That's Jessie Thorpe. Jessie loved children. She coached a group of students at RFA, Rome Free Academy, known as Black Teens in Action, who were restricted from joining the regular teen cheerleaders because of their color. Jessie and her husband organized a group known as the Afro-American Heritage Association, who accepted the award earlier tonight, and remains to this day after we were chartered in 1978. The purpose was to collect, present, and interpret local history, artifacts, and objects relative to people of color to the citizens of Rome, New York, and surrounding area. The AAHA, as we call ourselves, celebrate African American History Month annually during the month of February. Through Jesse's dedication and energy, AAHA participated in many of Rome's Honor American Days programs and gave talks to several religious and school groups in the Rome, Utica area. She wrote and published for the AAHA an introductory history of African Americans in Rome, New York, and an introductory history of African Americans in Oneida County, New York. Jesse and another member of AAHA had organized a group of young people who presented plays and music at several activities during African American History Month and other venues. They called themselves the Afro-American Children's Theater. Several of AACT fondly remember the guidance and help they got from Jessie and her friends and learned how to walk, talk, and make themselves known to their audiences. Thank you again for honoring us with this presentation, and thank all of you for being here to witness our acceptance of this appreciation.
Our final award tonight goes to a trailblazer. What is a trailblazer? A trailblazer, for this purpose, is a leader who paves the way for future generations. Jessie Marie Shorts Thorpe was a trailblazer for us all. She stood up and spoke out. She mentored and educated so we all knew where we stood and what needed to be done. She was a friend who spoke the truth even when it was hard to hear. This award is being given out for the first time. The person who was chosen indeed has the same qualities as Jessie Thorpe. Her passion for this community has been long-standing. She has been in the forefront of organizing children's and young adult programs. She is educated by tutoring programs and has stood on many community committees for racial equality. Just like Jessie Thorpe, she is a mentor, an educator, an organizer, and a leader. I am honored to give the first Jessie Marie Shorts Thorpe Trailblazer Award to Janet Bennett.
I would like to thank the Rome NAACP branch for presenting me with the Jessie Marie Short Thorpe Trailblazer Award. Thank you. Then let me thank God for all the love, energy, and wisdom He gave me that it took to work with our young folks. Secondly, my parents, for instilling in me the importance of family and loving my siblings first. Also, treating others the way I want to be treated, even the ones that weren't even always nice to me. Then there's Cleta Paterson Smith, my dear friend, sister, mentor, who we worked together. We basically provided tutoring as well as skills training to be successful in life. While I encouraged them to complete high school through my job as the Youth Opportunity Program Supervisor Coordinator, I also stressed that learning and gaining employment was just as important. I'm glad the youth allowed me to discuss topics they didn't always want to hear or talk about. However, I found with a little bit of food, we could get the topic done. I hope all the youth who have crossed my path remember, you only go this way once. You just do your best, and God or your higher power will help you do the rest. And I just ask everybody to please vote, and once again, thank you for acknowledging these accomplishments.
Congratulations to all of our 2020 Freedom Fund Award honorees, and thank you for your service and your commitment to our community. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Linda Brown Robinson, and I'm the president of the Syracuse Onondaga County NAACP. I want to give thanks to my partners, the Rome branch, the Auburn Cayuga branch. The three of us came together and we planned this, what I call a trifecta. I first want to thank our very special guest, that's our honorees. Without them, this event just wouldn't be possible, because that's what the reason is we're here, to honor them. I also want to thank all of our guests on the lineup. That's our speakers that came from near and far, our elected officials. So first, this is so special to me, and it touched my heart when I got this news. Calvin Corridors, on behalf of the Pathfinder Bank, that he is the regional president of, said they're going to donate the meals that came with their sponsorship to those in the community that are less needy. Calvin, it touched my heart. I couldn't be more grateful and thankful, and I know that the community appreciates your gesture. I also want to thank my committee, who at times we thought this couldn't be done. We did it. Thank you. I also want to thank the members of my board, my officers, because this has been the last 4 years that I have run the branch, and without their help, we couldn't have done this. I also want to have some really, really, really special thanks to two people. We had two people that one became a Silver Life and the other became a Diamond Life member. That is such a hard hill to climb. Lonnie Johnson, thank you. Ms. Dolores Williams, thank you very much. And so with my pleasure, let's continue on with our evening of celebration and honor. Thank you, and I address you for the final time as I'm stepping down. I'm not going to run for office again this year. So Syracuse, Onondaga County, thank you for the great run. Bye now.
I am so honored to receive this award. The biggest driving force behind what I would say my success that I have as of now is definitely knowing that other people are watching, specifically young Black and brown girls who maybe weren't told in their household that they can achieve success. So the fact that I'm there and I am a testament to just hard work, dedication, and not letting people get me down, not letting their words get me down, not letting the no's get me down. The fact that I can say that, yeah, I've been told no a lot, yeah, I've been rejected a lot, yeah, people haven't accepted me in certain positions because of the color of my skin, because of the way that I look. But the fact that I use that to really fuel me into hopefully achieving the success that I want to achieve in my life has been really the driving force behind me to do excellent and to know that other people are watching, and maybe they look at what I'm doing and say, okay, I think I can do that. For me growing up, I lived across the world, especially when I was younger. And so both of my parents were in the military, and we moved to different parts of Germany. I lived in several states in the United States. And I think that really shaped me to be a well-rounded person. And for me, it's just funny how God works. For me, I knew that I first wanted to become a journalist when I just started watching the news. And I think when any young person watches the news on a consistent basis, a daily basis, it's kind of odd because not a lot of people are into the news. Even back then, I know now we have our phones and social media. So I think that I would tell my younger self, the no's will one day turn into a yes. So probably the most meaningful project in my career thus far is the project I did on the 15th ward. And so this opportunity came along where I was able to do just a longer form piece, a documentary and really delve deep into what was the 15th ward, who were the sons and the daughters of the 15th ward, these amazing leaders in the Syracuse community. To me, was just so beyond inspirational. And I think that, you know, being nominated for an Emmy for that and winning a Murrow Award, which for journalists, I mean, that is just really the pinnacle of success, was a testament to their story. So that's not my award. That is an award to what they've done, their stories, and how they have overcome the things that they've been through. I don't know, I feel like I found out who Jennifer Sanders was when I moved to Syracuse. So it holds a special place in my heart. I think the best thing that we can do to defeat hate is really just being a light. And whether that's in our workplace, our community, our church, wherever that might be. And I think that we have to use our voice to do that. But Linda called me, and when she told me, my first reaction were just tears. I mean, I think I probably started sobbing. This is just an amazing, amazing honor, and I am beyond grateful. Words can't even explain how grateful I am to receive this award.
So I'm Joe Bright with Duncan Bright Furniture, and we're honored to win the Earl Graves corporate award that the NAACP gives out every year. And like you said, it's definitely a lifetime achievement, and it's beyond my lifetime. My grandfather and my father, I know, did a lot of work that I believe is recognized with this award. So we've been on the south side, on the corner of Salina and Brighton, and on the south side of Syracuse for 93 years, same location. And some of the big things, every year we recommit ourselves to that community, but what I think the NAACP is recognizing here are actions that my grandfather, my dad, and now I can continue to take to improve that community. Going back to my grandfather, Pat Bright, he really took Duncan Bright Furniture from a small, one-door shop, much smaller than it is today. And by buying vacant tax delinquent properties around Duncan Bright, he was able to expand it. And my father did the same thing. That's the most dense population in the entire Onondaga County, is the city of Syracuse. So we're happy to be there. And what's definitely the number one accomplishment is just becoming New York State's largest furniture showroom. It's the largest showroom in the state. Every year, I say every year for the last 8 years, except for this year due to the pandemic, we've hosted Jazz in the City, which is a free jazz concert. It's a blast. Definitely most recently, it's making it through the pandemic successfully. We're back open. We furloughed 75% of the staff, and we've hired every staff member back plus more. So yeah. So when Linda and Van actually reached out too. So when Linda and Van let us know that we won the award, my reaction was I was incredibly grateful and recognized that I've owned the business for a short time, and that winning this award is a tribute to my grandfather and my dad and the work that they've done in the community. The award that's hanging on the wall in our store right now is 1989. My grandfather won the NAACP, I believe it was a Man of the Year award, and I feel fortunate that the NAACP is awarding this to Duncan Bright now. At the same time, I recognize that the work that Duncan Bright has done has been over, we've been around 93 years, been committed to the community under my grandfather and my dad's leadership under the last 60 years. And this award is really a tribute to them. So I want to say thank you to them, thank you to the NAACP, and continue to do what you guys do, because it's a great thing for Onondaga County.
My name is Michelle Brooks Rolling. I am the franchise owner and operator of Event Prep Inc. executive producer of the 2021 Financial Empowerment Summit, as well as executive director of the Upstate Minority Economic Alliance. The driving force behind my lifetime commitment to achieving excellence personally and professionally is my faith in God. I come from a family of 7, 4 girls and a boy, 5 children. I'm the oldest of 5. And we grew up in a 2-bedroom house, all 7 of us. And we did that because my father was a funeral director, a business owner. My mother was a homemaker. And they sacrificed so that we could all get a good education. Among my list of accomplishments, and one of my most meaningful thus far, is when I made history 2 years ago by becoming the first franchised owner and operator of the Event Prep brand in New York State. And I was recognized by the governor's office for this achievement. Some of the current and future projects I'm working on includes focusing on the Upstate Minority Economic Alliance. UMEA is intentional about bringing value to our minority entrepreneurs and business owners, particularly in the midst of this ongoing coronavirus pandemic. I started out as a hybrid entrepreneur, holding down a full-time job and then burning the midnight oil to, build my brand. And I can't tell you how many times I had these, bright ideas, and I got so excited. And unfortunately, there are times I went out there, feet first, and fell flat on my face. And I want to help prevent others from making, unnecessarily costly mistakes. The exhortation I would share with NAACP members and guests in regard to pursuing justice and defeating hate in these current times is that NAACP, we need you. We still need you. I am honored to receive this prestigious award in the legacy of Madam C.J. Walker. I'd like to thank the NAACP from the bottom of my heart, and I dedicate this award to minority entrepreneurs and business owners in Syracuse and Central New York.
My name is Eva Williams. I'm principal of Van Dyne Elementary School in the Syracuse City School District. The funny part about who I am as an educator is that I hated school as a child. I felt like I never fit in, that the school was not created for me. I lived and grew up with a family of public servants. My grandfather was an ambassador, my aunts and cousins were all educators, and I saw in them that drive and passion to ensure that our people had the things that they need, from food to education to housing, and that was the initial driving force. And the more I learned about my history as truly an African, I'm from Liberia, and as an American living in America, learning the history of both sides and the interconnectedness of our people, I understood that I had a responsibility for who I am and the people that I represent. At every step of the way, I've wanted every student to know that they had a right to that space, and they had a right to feel comfortable and have their needs met in that environment. And so it is really easy to sum this up as to where I am today is because that's where the Lord has put me. The call that I was receiving this honor, Mary McLeod Bethune Educator Award, I cried. You live your whole life on a journey to the place that you see yourself. There is no greater joy or honor in my life than to have been offered the opportunity to go in history as an educator aligned with Mary McLeod Bethune, to be recognized for what I believe is just the calling that God has given me. He told me that this was my path and I've walked it, and to be recognized for doing that in which I'm responsible to do as my pay for life on this earth. I'm grateful. I'm humbled. I'm humbled.
Well, the reason why I do this and why I got involved in doing this was mainly just to help people. I wanted to be able to give people the same opportunities, or let people realize that if I can do it, anybody can do it. So whenever I try to do anything, I always try to think, well, if I can do it, someone else can do it. Maybe I can get them involved, and try to help them. Growing up, well, I didn't have a usual background or a usual childhood. I lived with my grandmother, and I grew up going to school here in Syracuse, New York. I also went to school in Deerfield Beach, Florida, and Pompano Beach, Florida. So I kind of, got to meet all different kinds of people. We traveled a lot when I was growing up because my grandmother liked to spend winters in Florida. A lot of times we'd spend summers up here or winters up here. And then we go visit family in different parts of the South and everything. So just getting to meet people, talk to people, seeing how different people live, that really helped, motivate me to want to do things when I got older. Seeing how other people live things that they had, I said, well, I'd like to be able to do those things when I get older. And so that's pretty much what I did. I never in my life expected to receive an award like this, especially from such a well-known organization as the NAACP, an organization that I have followed most of my life and respected the work that they've done, actually was honoring me. I just could not believe it. So, and I'm still trying to believe that this is actually happening to me, because I never expected anything like this. The things I do when I got involved and the things that I continue to do, I do it because it makes me feel good. It helps other people. Getting any type of recognition, basically, I pretty much try to avoid that and try to do some work, stay in the background and push other people ahead of me and let them think, okay, yeah, you take the credit for it. That was fine with me. As long as things were getting done, I didn't care who got the credit. But it feels good. It really does feel good to know that I have done something right. And it has been acknowledged. Someone actually believed that I did something good, and I'm starting to believe it did. I must have done something right, because here I am. So again, this is one of the best honor I could ever possibly receive in my life. And I just want to thank everyone, CSEA, CBTU, the NAACP, everyone that has helped me to get to this point. I thank you, because I didn't do this by myself. I had lots of help. There are people out there that are making me look good, and I really appreciate that. And I'm trying to do everything I can just to pass it on and make sure that when I'm gone, that the work continues. People will understand the importance of what I'm doing, what we're trying to do, and that it doesn't stop, because we've got a long way to go. So again, this is one of the best honors I could ever possibly receive, and I just can't imagine anything ever being better than this. So again, like I said, I just have to thank everybody for this honor that, again, I never expect to receive it, and I'm getting it from people that I respect, people that I consider to be heroes in this big fight. So this is the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
One of the things that drives me to be excellent and continue to do better and further my career is, I think maybe the number or the quantity of people that look like me or come from where I came from or grew up where I grew up at. The amount of people like myself that are in higher positions or in better careers is so low. It's drastically low. It's not common you see African-American police officers. It's not common you see police officers that grew up in the city of Syracuse, in some of the neighborhoods that I grew up in. So I think that's one of the things that drives me to keep going higher and higher and higher, is to try to recruit or get people that come from similar backgrounds of what I came from. Growing up where I grew up at, it's sort of like you got two choices. You can have fun and fall into the social norm, which is, selling drugs and being gang members and partying and drinking and stuff like that. Or you can try to block all that stuff out and go to college, have families, get better careers and stuff like that. So I had two good parents in my household. Having both your parents is like I want to say is just number one priority in being able to block some of those social pressures that I spoke about earlier. So I had two good parents in my household who were on me, heavily making me, I was always on punishment for stuff that I was doing growing up. And so that's number one, is having two good parents. And number two was my parents allowed me to do things like play sports. You know what I mean? They signed me up for local Boys and Girls Clubs. I used the Boys and Girls Clubs to stay out of trouble. Different basketball leagues and stuff like that. So me having two good parents playing basketball, that sort of kept me out of trouble. The younger, 24-year-old me, when I first got hired, it was a tough pill to swallow. Hearing some people that you grew up with and you thought you were friends with call you a sellout, Uncle Tom, and oh, you're one of them, and things like that. It is a tough pill to swallow, and having to deal with that. I'm 28. I'm seeing a bigger picture. So the 13-year-old, 14-year-old kid on Facebook yesterday, he added me as a friend. He hangs out in the community that I work in, and he had a Henny bottle in one hand and he was smoking weed in the other hand. And he sent me a message. This was just yesterday. I cannot make this up. He sent me a message on Facebook. He said, "Yo," and I said, "What's up, little bro?" He said, "When they put the rims up, I need a rematch. I got some moves for you." This was Friday at 2:11 p.m. I said, "LOL, as soon as you get a new profile picture of you not smoking weed, then we can play." He said, "That's easy. I got you right now." And he changed his profile picture. Seeing somebody on the outside looking into my life and what I've done, and wanting to select me for this reward is just astronomical, and I appreciate it 1,000%. I can't say that enough.
Ben Jeffers, Omega Psi Phi, 28th 2nd District Representative. I've been an Omega for 49 years. So I've been here from going to school at SU until the present. I'm currently the grad advisor up at SU. And we've been in the community doing things such as scholarships to youth, to high school seniors, because we know with our boys, especially with our boys, if we can't get them into college, they might be headed to jail.
Tony Cherubin, I'm the bossless of the graduate chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated here in Syracuse, New York. I have been a member for 13 years, and unfortunately in undergrad, I did not know enough about the fraternity. And as I matured and I got to know some of the other brothers, and my roommate had pledged, the brothers, even though I wasn't a member, they were so welcoming and they were always very kind to me. And the principles stayed with me: manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift.
My name is Herb Dunmore. I'm with Chi Phi Chapter, the graduate chapter, and I am the keeper of finance for the fraternity, for our chapter, you'd say. We feel that it's imperative that we continue to do this for our children. If we don't do it for our children, who will? Our children need guidance, they need mentorship, they need not just our rhetoric, but they also need our money.
My name is Fred Gilbo. I've been in the fraternity for 43 years. And I think one of the things that drives us is that uplift is one of our 4 cardinal principles. And uplift can take the form of many things, but for a lot of the time, it's community service.
This is J.R. Claiborne. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi since 1990, so I'm in year 30, which is a blessing. And I'm actually down here in Ithaca, New York, so I'm about an hour away from Syracuse, but the chapter has definitely folded its arms around me. And I think for me, with community services, that we do have a duty to each other. We are expected to take care of each other, and not only does that mean our brothers, it also means our community. And that in itself drives us to take care of those around us.
My name is Terry Woodford. I've been a member of Omega Psi Phi since 1986, so I guess that puts me at 34 years. I'm glad to be a part of this organization of very good men of good character. I guess our philanthropy has been based around helping our community and helping the individuals within the community at all ages.
First, I would thank the NAACP for the consideration of this award. But once again, what we don't do it for accolades. We don't do it for press. We don't do it for a pat on the back. We do it because there's a need. And I believe Herb was saying that people took an interest in each one of us. So we are paying it forward, and we're just trying to do the same and trying to make a difference in the community.
I'm Mark Jones. I'm the CEO and founder of Dreisig Apparel, based in Syracuse, New York. And I must say, it really goes back to my parents. My parents are really, truly the driving force behind me and the motivation that I have. My parents grew up middle class, and I knew that I wanted to go ahead and exude what they have, but then also take it to the next level. And the greatest motivator that I have, and one of my, not just my parents as my heroes, but another relative of mine, is that I'm a living descendant of Harriet Tubman. And she is my true hero. I am the great-great-great-grandnephew of Harriet Tubman. Very proud of that legacy. And then that legacy is what really truly fulfills me and makes me want to drive me to go ahead and get better every single day. So Dreisig, I founded Dreisig in 1998 to be a manufacturer, distributor of athletic apparel. And Dreisig comes from my sports background. So after playing college and collegiate football at the University of Tennessee, I was fortunate enough to play professional football. So me playing over in Germany, the word Dreisig means 30 in German. And that's where I played my last 6 years of professional football, in Germany. So the word Dreisig means 30 in German. My football jersey number since playing at the University of Tennessee and then my whole professional football career was the number 30. So that's how it ties in with each other. So Dreisig means 30 in German, and then that's where I played my last 6 years of professional football. And when you see our logo, that is the Dreisig logo, similar to the Nike swoosh or the Adidas 3-stripe logo, you'll see our logo where it's a 3 and a 0, but it swooshes to where it looks like a 30, and that's what we put on all of our athletic apparel and all of our athleisure wear and fitness apparel. I started my own foundation that a lot of people don't realize about 10 years ago. Yes, so I have my own foundation. My foundation is called the Willow Street Foundation. And we went ahead and we set out and started the foundation so that we can go ahead and we can help the youth in the community. So I went ahead and I started the hashtag Be Change. Be the one to make change. That only takes one person. Be the one to make change. But what I'm doing is when you go on our website and when you can buy the shirt, so if you go to dreisigathletic.com, buy a Be Change shirt, we're giving 30% back to the NAACP. I would like to thank the NAACP and Linda Robinson for this prestigious award. I really, truly am humbled and grateful for receiving this award in the great name of Muhammad Ali and in the name of Dreisig Apparel, my company, and my business. We really, truly are thankful for receiving this award.
City Court Judge Vanessa Bogan. I am asked about what the driving force behind my journey has been. And it really has been to push myself to do the best I can. I grew up in Brooklyn, Bedford-Stuyvesant. I grew up in the 60s in a single parent household. We were on public assistance. My mother had a 9th grade education. She migrated to New York from Virginia. There are obstacles inherent in growing up poor in Bed-Stuy in the 60s. At the same time, what I had was some people who encouraged me, teachers who said to me, Vanessa, you can achieve. Vanessa, just try. Those people have helped me be the person that I am today. And they include my mother, teachers, and family members. I'm thankful for their presence in my life. When I left New York in 1977, I joined the Air Force. The Air Force was pivotal in helping Vanessa develop to be a productive citizen. It helped me get the education that I needed. After I got out of the military, I was a letter carrier, still going to school, always pushing, always trying. Achieving, that is, being a city court judge has not been an easy process. The real question is, or the real answer is, the desire to achieve, and always fighting to develop that thing in me. I looked at the exam for the law school and thought I could do well on it. I had no one to tell me that law school would be a good thing for me. It was only after I got into law school and began to really understand the effect on law and society and what it meant that I really started digging my teeth into it. So people evolve. We evolve to who we are. And the way to then achieve that excellence is always pushing yourself, always trying to grow. And that's what got me to becoming a judge. I tell young people who appear before me, education is the key to the door to your future. Please don't let it go. So the thing I not only encourage my children, but the young people who appear in front of me is education. Our young people need to have us tell them they can. And we have to provide the guidance for what they need to get to those points. So I've known each of the three gentlemen, that is Judge McKinney, Henry Melchor, and Bill May. All leaders in our community, all fighters for right, fairness, and justice. All men who have worked hard to achieve. So it quite pleases me to be honored with an award in their name. So for that, I thank you.
Who On Point for College is, what we're considered to be is a college access program. And what we do is we help students with access to college, helping them to get in. Success in college, helping them to stay in. And then career services, it allows them to find a career, a future, a purpose that they can serve in their community going forward. And On Point for College helps students every step of the way. And while our name is On Point for College, we are really looking at helping students with post-secondary opportunities. So if they're interested in a trade, if they want to be a truck driver, whatever your interest is for building a future for you and your family, On Point wants to be there to help you through that.
Currently, I am a family nurse practitioner and I work in the inner city of Syracuse. On Point has made my life better by providing me with opportunity. I first came in contact with the staff of On Point by going on a college tour, and it allowed me to see what college life was like. Once I completed high school, On Point made sure that I had the supplies that I needed to get into college, and once I actually started each semester, On Point followed up with me.
Just to give you an example, we had a young man at the beginning of the semester come to us because he had tried to cash 2 checks at the bank and he couldn't cash them because he only had ID and he needed a birth certificate and he didn't have the $30 for a birth certificate. So him and his mom came to On Point to say he's not going to be able to go to college, he's not going to be able to cash his scholarship checks because we don't have the $30. So On Point gave him $30 and that changed his whole trajectory, his whole idea about his future and where he could go and what he could do.
On Point was really there for me my junior year of college. Unexpectedly, my father passed away and I had to push through the nursing program. And in doing so, I had to pay for textbooks that were $500, $600. It was already a challenge to push through the program, and then financially, that was a challenge in itself. So I called Nina, who was a member of the On Point staff, and let her know that I needed textbooks, and that same weekend she came up and she bought all the books I needed.
And investing in On Point students is an investment in your city, in your town, in your village, in your county, in your state, in your country, because our students go all over the country going to college. The majority of them do come back to New York State, but now they become individuals in your community who have purpose, who have direction, who are contributors.
I chose that clinic because this is my community. There are not too many individuals who look like me, who work in healthcare, let alone hold a position as a primary care provider. So On Point has reassured me that I belong in my community and that they are willing to support me throughout the way.
We're educating poor people in some cases, underprivileged people in some cases. Those who are financially challenged and academically challenged are no longer falling into those spots. And so investing in On Point is an investment in the future of where we are and who we are. It gives to America, it gives to New York State, it gives to Onondaga County, it gives to Syracuse.
Hello, my name is Andy Brewer. I'm the president of Huber Brewer Construction Company in Syracuse. Question, I think the legacy that we've created is one of embracing community and supporting our community. We've been located on the south side of Syracuse for almost 150 years, and we've never had satellite offices or regional offices. It's just always been that world headquarters right there on the south side. And we have a lot of pride in our commitment and participation in countless community organizations. When you get immersed in it at such a young age, when we say sweeping floors and hanging doors at age 14 or 15, and you're working amongst the tradesmen. You're out in the field, and so you're seeing a different demographic, socioeconomically, certainly in terms of sometimes education. It's a different education, what you learn in the field. And in a lot of ways, it's been wonderful that I've been able to, and the same experience for my father and others. The spirit of why some of these diversity and minority utilization laws exist is to help teach a man to fish, right? And so that's increasingly been our focus, that we're saying, okay, and frankly, we're particularly with the city of Syracuse and the county of Onondaga, you've got some very willing partners there. I think our biggest challenge sometimes is just understanding the landscape. And from our perspective, that has mean, well, we've got to have somebody focused on this full time. We've got to have a diversity coordinator who can be out there as an ambassador for not only our programs, but an ambassador, maybe just an administrator of all of this ecosystem, some of which is public and some of which is just people doing the right thing. The challenge to how our company perceives some of the social unrest in our country right now, that just comes down to having a conscience in the office. Who in the office is going to be most affected by some of these things, and where are they going to be distracted? Where are they going to have that extra need for childcare? They like to be able to attend an event or to take that extra time off, or frankly, where are they just feeling emotionally drained by it? So that's just conscience, right? So that's I'm very lucky to have our office is filled with people who I think are very cognizant, very aware. Huber Brewer is honored to be recognized for this award. We feel that in the past few years we've had a very deliberate focus on diversity and inclusion, and it's just wonderful to be recognized for it. And so appreciative of the good work that the CNY chapter of the NAACP continues to do to fight for these ideals. We're proud to be a part of it, and we wish you the best.
It is a pleasure to be here. I am so honored to receive this award. I'm Sharon Owens. I'm the Deputy Mayor of the City of Syracuse. Just a life of Donna Reese is an answer to the question about what drives me. I'm an economics major. My trajectory that I thought my life was going to take me was to be on Wall Street and to very much be in the center of the economic engine of the world. And then I did an internship at the Dunbar Center. If I can look back on 20-year-old Sharon Owens, I would get in the time capsule and tell her, you are going to give birth to an amazing young woman that you are going to instill with this advice that I give you. Know your worth, know who you are, have the greatest expectation for yourself. Don't allow anyone to tell you other than that. I was the first person in my family on both sides to graduate from college, and I graduated from Syracuse University. That was a major accomplishment, and I knew it was when all of the generations of my family showed up on the campus of SU. The second, people would think it would be deputy mayor, but the thing that really resonates with me in my journey so far was when Jesse Dowdell retired from Southwest Community Center, and stepping in there because I knew how important Southwest was and is to our community. The strength of our community is the people in this community. We never stay down. We never stay down. No matter, people, we're always compared to Rochester, to Buffalo, to every other city in this state. But I chose this place because I saw just the grit and the merit and the love and the dedication of the people here. You're not going to come in and talk about our kids or talk about our neighborhoods or anything of that nature, so that is what I really love about this city. And that is what's going to get us through this challenge and any other challenge to come in the future. When I think of Donna Reese, I think of an individual. Every time I met her, it was because we were meeting at a common place to address an issue. What I loved about Donna was her silent strength, even though she was very vocal, but she was a woman about assessing the issue and getting to the work. I just think of some of the boards she sat on and being the only woman in the room and the only woman of color in the room and the only woman of color with a disability in the room. The strength just to be honored, and to particularly be honored after she was called on the glory and she was no longer with us, and be the first person to be named in her honor. I had the pleasure of talking with her daughter and also doing an interview with her daughter. And just again, as I spoke about my daughter, just her legacy living in her daughter. And so I just am honored to have my name associated with hers and to be the first one associated with hers. I'm thrilled.
I'm going to stick my 2 cents in only because I can, just for a moment. Because I am reacting and crying right along with all of the honorees. It's amazing to hear how humbled and how grateful you are, but just think how humble and how grateful we are to hear your stories and to realize why you're receiving your awards. When the young man with the Police Benevolent Association, I think it was Brandon, David, you're shaking your head, so I'm right. When he talked about in your own community being chastised because he went into law enforcement and such, it reminded me of kind of the same thing, trying to do my own thing, to go to college and try to change my vocabulary and such. And I get around my friends and use words that we don't use all the time. And then all of a sudden they would say to me, "Why you want to sound white?" So when he gave his story, I thought of that story, and I just wanted to share that. So thank you for letting me do that. We are wrapping up to the end of the evening. And I know that when our saxophonist played and we had the jazz music, I didn't have my glass of wine, so I have it now. We're going to end the evening with a performance by Sean McLeod. His performance is entitled, "Come On, Harriet." Here's to Harriet.
Well, that was really terrific. And thank you for that, Sean McLeod. We had 3 performances this evening. They were all spectacular. And for all of you who were guests this evening, and for all of you who were awardees this evening, and for all of you who organized it, and for all of you who are hope to be part of this next year, I think you all deserve an incredible blessing for what you have been able to accomplish this evening. And so let's have a benediction from Letta Palmer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Letta Palmer, and I'm the pastor at First Baptist Church in Rome, New York. And I'm also a member of Rome Branches Religious Affairs Committee of the NAACP. First of all, congratulations to all of the award winners from Central New York tonight. And before I close, I'd like to share these inspiring words by Bishop Alan M. Gates on the speech he gave as part of the MLK breakfast in 2015. And he said, "With faith, we will be able to go on to carve a tower of hope on the mountain of despair and bring into being that great dream and create right here in America a nation where we all will live together and respect the dignity and worth of the human personality." And in closing tonight's event, I would like to offer up this benediction. Precious Lord, this past year has been one of the most challenging years for the majority of us gathered here tonight. There's been far too much loss of life, of property, and even our faith in local, regional, state, and federal officials. But we have not lost our faith in you to see us through this trying time and those yet to come. Tonight, we lift up those stewards of your work that we have honored tonight, those who planned and taken part in this wonderful expression of love as we pursue justice and defeat hate. We cannot rest until this is done. We thank the co-masters of ceremonies and the Central New York branches of the NAACP from Auburn, Cayuga, Rome, and Syracuse, Onondaga, who came together in mutual purpose to shine the light on the work that has been done this past year and to honor those who have worked tirelessly to make it happen. No matter how long this struggle takes, Lord, no matter how weary we get, let the words shine, let our words shine as a beacon of resilience and hope. May many of more of these people come alongside you and share their strength and honor in this dream. Let us not lose sight of the dream that MLK instilled in all of us for dignity, respect, and hope for a just world for everyone. Now may the Lord bless and keep you. May God's light shine upon your path, guide your hands, and strengthen your will this day and always. In the name of the One Most High, amen.
Amen. Building a tower of hope on a mountain of despair. Thank you, Letta Palmer. That was just tremendous. And thank you all for being with us this evening at this first, and maybe I hope the last, Central New York virtual NAACP Freedom Fund dinner for the 3 great chapters in this particular area. Before I wrap this up, I want to thank my co-MC for her great words this evening and her endearing personality. I've never met her before. So at the next dinner, hopefully that you'll let the 2 of us co-host in person. So Karin, any final words?
Believe it or not, yes. It has been a true honor. My mother, God bless her soul, rest her soul, she would be so happy to know that I shared the stage with you, even though it's virtually. And I feel the same way. I am really honored to be with you virtually. And after I get your book, Black, Blind, and in Charge, I want it autographed.
Absolutely.
Okay, you're on record as promising to do that. I just wanted to say that there is nothing virtual about injustice. There's nothing virtual about hate. In a time of dark, be the light. Let us carry the energy and the light of this virtual Freedom Fund dinner with us. We can defeat injustice and we can defeat hate. So this does conclude our evening. And until next year, good night and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
And thank you. And so I just want to add to that, to first say to those of you who don't know that I spent an entire summer in Syracuse in 1971. I have two classes from Syracuse on my college resume. It's the first time I came to the city. I made a lot of friends there who I still have. And so it's just great to come back. I was in Syracuse last weekend, as a matter of fact. And the other thing I want to say real quickly is, as most of you know, there was a series of articles, a podcast, and a blog authored by a New York Times reporter named Nicole Hannah-Jones. And it was called the 1619 Project. And she talked about slavery, how it started. They originally tried to enslave the Indians, but they couldn't because the Indians had a very strong faith. So this whole idea of going to another country, kidnapping people, separating them, never letting them know who their family members were, never letting them have any education at all, to completely subjugate them to control and rule. And then it went on for 244 years, followed by another 92 years of legalized segregation in this country. And she wrote about the efforts by people, both black and white, both the living and the dead, to build and create a national movement to create economic, political, and social justice for all of us. And what was so interesting is after the blogs came out, the more conservative magazines, the National Review, the Washington Times, they all wrote, don't read this. Ms. Jones really doesn't want to focus on the great things we accomplished as America. And what I thought was so interesting about them writing that is those were the greatest things in America. If we did not have a Revolutionary War, we would still have slavery in this country even today. If we didn't have people marching against injustice with Dr. King, we would still have segregated accommodations. Why don't these people get that these are just as great as writing the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence, which was actually flawed? It was a hypocritical document. That movement made the words in our Constitution and Declaration of Independence. So what I would leave all with you tonight is, I think the answer to eradicating hate is contrition, understanding, as does the country of Germany, what happened to the Jews back in the World War II era, where 6 million of them were eradicated, as opposed to the attitude of other countries like Japan that attacked China for absolutely no reason in the 1930s and has never apologized for it. Until we have contrition, until people translate their faith into admitting to their faults, even if it's the faults of a whole nation, we're going to have a long struggle. Thank you all. It was great to be with you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.